Hello everyone, this is Colleen with YarnWars.com, and today I am so excited to be bringing you this new pattern that I have made. This is called Patty Cakes, and I'm actually going to be starting a new collection called my Baby Cakes collection, and this is going to be a part of it, again, called Patty Cakes. They're little baby mittens, excuse me, and they're very simple to work up. They're very soft, very warm and cozy, and they make a great mitten for a new baby to keep them from scratching themselves, or just warm, cozy, toasty mitten for winter. But just so that you can see quickly, this is the base of the mitten itself that we'll be working up first, and then working our rows of frosting and then a cherry on top. So there will be different sizing in the pattern. I will show you how to determine if you're making it for an older child. But what you're going to want are 3 different colors of yarn. I'm going to be using this light grape, and I'm sorry my label's ripped up here, but this is the Red Heart First Baby Steps, and it's a worsted weight. It's a little bit lighter weight, but it's a very soft yarn, and I found this on the clearance at Walmart, which I know a lot of people got in on. So, and I know that I've seen a lot of pictures of the same kinds of yarns that I got, so I thought, well, how perfect is that? I'll just work it up in something that maybe a lot of other people have. So I'll be using the light grape Red Heart Baby First Step yarn. I have my white yarn, which is also Baby Steps, and I have my red yarn, which is the Super Saver actually, and this is also a Red Heart yarn. So if you've got a different kind of red, it's fine. Any yarn that you guys choose that you like, you can absolutely use. So you're going to want 3 different colors like I just showed you. Then you're going to want your scissors, your snippers. You are going to definitely want a blunt needle for hiding in your tails. We got a few tails to hide, not a ton, but a few. You will also want a stitch marker, and I always just use a regular, I use a different color piece of yarn because that kind of stays out of my way when I'm using it. But you are definitely going to want the stitch marker, whether it's a bobby pin, a safety pin, a plastic stitch marker, whatever the case, you're going to want one because we are working continuous rounds in this project. So you will lose your spot eventually if you don't have it, or maybe not, but I definitely need a stitch marker for the continuous round projects. And then we're going to be making this little tie at the bottom here, which will help cinch things in. But I just want to show you quickly the difference on this. If you feel like through this project, if you feel like this is getting a little bigger than you want for like a newborn, this is, like I said, this is the mitten itself. So it is a little bit smaller when you work up the mitten, but it kind of grows out a little bit, expands a little bit out the sides here when we add our frosting. So if you, especially if you're a light, or if you crochet loosely, I would suggest that you drop down to an F hook for this project, and especially if you're making the this for a newborn. So this is our Patty Cakes Baby's First Mittens, and I really hope you enjoy this. There's going to be a couple of different stitches in here, some that you may never have heard before or worked before. I like to switch things up a little bit, so I am not doing the same thing over and over again, and it actually is a pretty fun pattern to work. So grab your crochet hook, grab your yarn, grab all your tools, and let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start our project with our light grape yarn, and this is going to be the body of our glove. And we're going to start with a magic circle. What we're going to do is wrap around our fingers once, and then wrap around again, crossing over the second time. You're going to come up through the middle, right in between those crisscrosses right there. Pull that yarn through and turn your hook up. And then this yarn over here, we're going to grab that with our hook, and it may seem a little awkward, but you grab that and you made a magic circle. There are several ways to do this. If you already have a way to do it, keep doing it your way. Another way for you to do this, if you're not comfortable with the magic circle, you can chain 3, make your slip knot, chain 3, and then slip stitch into the first chain on your hook. Create that circle, and you can work your stitches in like we're about to right here. But how we're going to start is we're going to work 10 half double crochets into the circle. Like I said, we're not chaining, we're not joining in this project, we're working continuous circle. So just yarn over into your circle, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And we're going to do this 10 times. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6. Nice thing about the magic circle is you can pull it in a little bit if you need to, if it's more space than you need. So there's 10 half double crochets into our circle. You can pull your tail, pull all those stitches together to close. Okay? Okay, so now we are moving on to round 2, which is an increase round. We're going to be increasing into every stitch around. And one of the things you have to be careful with is this, because we are not chaining up, it's gonna kind of look like some projects where you actually do chain, and that's a chain, and you don't want to miss that first stitch, especially when you bunch it all together. It kind of squishes down there, so you want to make sure that you get into that first stitch. And we're going to be working, I'm going to go ahead and place my stitch marker right, okay, I'm trying to find my stitch marker through my camera. So I'm going to place this right after the last stitch worked and before my first stitch to be worked. So we're going right into this, and it's going to be a little tight for this first round, the second round. It's going to be a little tight getting in there, but you'll be fine. You want to put 2. And we're going to be putting 2 stitches into each and every stitch around, giving you a total of 20 at the end of this round, because we started with 10. Now we're doubling. Okay, we've moved our stitch marker up to the next round, and really pay attention, guys, where your starting stitch is going to be. You want to make sure that you're going into the correct stitch. Like this ends right here, and then you got a little gappy stitch right there, but that is your first stitch, is right here, right after the stitch marker. And pull the stitch marker tight over if you need to, so you can get in there and see. So for round 3, we are going to be working back loop only, an increase in our first stitch. So the back loop only, when a pattern says to work back loop only, for beginners I am talking to, not for those of you who have been crocheting a long time, but we're working just this one loop right here. This is a full stitch. We are working just this back loop. Okay, so we're going to leave this one alone, totally. And we're going to work an increase right into that first one. So we'll work 2, whoops, half double crochets, 2 half double crochets right into that first stitch, 1 and 2, and then right into the next stitch we're going to work 1. This is an increase round, but we'll only be increasing every other stitch in this round. So the next one we're going to work another increase into the back loop only, and then just 1 half double crochet into the back loop only of our next stitch. So we're going to repeat that around, work 2 and then 1 and then 2 and then 1, and you're going to do this all the way around. Continue with that pattern of increasing every other stitch, and at the end of this round you're going to have a total of 30 stitches. Okay, so pause the video here, and then we will come back. We'll jump back in here and be ready for our next round. Okay, we are now at the end of round 3. So just quickly to just recap what we did here. We just, in this row, we just increased in every other stitch. Now we started this round with an increase, correct? So our first stitch that we worked had 2 half double crochets in it. So we're going to end with our 1 half double crochet. So the last stitch we make is going to be that single half double crochet, because it's running right into that next round. So if you've done this right, if your stitches are correct, you know, in where they should be, you'll have that, like it's just continuing around again almost. You'll have that one half double crochet, and then your increase will be to follow. So that's why we're ending with the 1. Now for step 4, this is where the fun begins. Now I don't want anybody to find this to be difficult at all, and I really don't think you will. It's so simple, this stitch, but it's very different, and it gives us a different effect to the pattern. I am calling this stitch the back loop slip behind. Back loop slip behind. So what we're doing is we're basically making a round of slip stitches, but we're working again continuous rounds. What we're doing is we're coming in behind in the back loop only. So instead of working the front loop or the back loop only through the front side, we're going to come behind that front loop only, up like this, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through both of those stitches, or both of those loops. So we're doing this for the whole round. We are finished with increasing on this. We are coming through and working behind just through that back loop. Then we're grabbing this yarn and we're pulling through both loops at the same time. So we're not making a single crochet or a half double crochet, we're making a slip stitch, but we're coming in behind to do it. And as you notice, my working yarn is behind my hook when I do this. So I'm coming in behind, grabbing that yarn, pulling through both. And you're going to get this down to where you're just flying through this. It's really that easy, unless you're sitting in front of a camera working up these stitches, then it's a little difficult. But this is really an easy round. You're just going to come through, grab that yarn, pull through. And this is, I don't even know if it's a stitch. I was just playing around with different things and trying some different techniques. Just trying to get a look of a little more of a knit look. And I really feel like I achieved it. I love how this works up and looks in the end. And you'll love the feel of the glove too. So just continue doing this, and I'll just go real slow through this one more time. And then split my stitch here, or my loop. Okay, so one more time. This is the right side that we're working on. So this is going to be the outside of your mitten. And that is the wrong side where our tail is. Okay, so working the right side, we're going to come behind and up into and through that back loop of our next stitch. We're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through both and create a slip stitch. So continue this around and I will meet you at the end of round 4 and we will move on to 5. Alrighty, so we just completed round 4 and you'll have 30 stitches because we just worked 1 into every one of our stitches around. But as you see, that's already kind of capping down there. It's becoming more of a little cap. And then we're moving on to a very simple round. It's going to be a little awkward in this round just because these are slip stitches we just made. Move that stitch marker up and pull it over so that you make sure you catch your first stitch. Look at where your stitch is coming down, the last stitch that you worked. Okay, it's coming into this stitch here, so this is going to be our first stitch to work right there. And in round 5, what we're going to work is 1 single crochet in the back loop only. Okay, regular way. Just go right into, make sure you're going into the correct starting stitch, and we're just going to go into the back loop. Yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through both. And we're just going into each stitch with 1, making 1 back loop only single crochet. So go ahead and work that around. And I will see you at the end of round 5. So just real quick before I before I pause this, you're going to come into only the back loop. So you're going to come through that back loop, yarn over and pull through, then yarn over again and pull through. Back loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both. So continue around like I said, and I will meet you at the end of round 5. Okay, so we have reached the end of round 5. And from here, it's very simple because all we're going to do is alternate between rounds 4 and 5. And we will do that to row 15. So you're going to work the next round. We'll move our stitch marker up. And the next round we're going back to that back loop slip behind stitch. So just pull that stitch marker over, make sure you grab into the correct stitch. I'm going to have to look over my camera for this first one. This is not a hard stitch, it's just that I got really close in there. Okay, so we're coming in behind and pulling through both. So for this round, you are just doing that same stitch, and as soon as I can get this away from my stitch marker, I'll be able to see this better. But we're just coming behind, yarning over, pulling through both. Coming behind, yarning over, pulling through both. And you're just gonna come through and work this around. And if you have to kind of, you know, turn your glove around and stuff to work it as far as like moving it a little bit out of shape, it's okay. Whatever is comfortable for you to get in the groove of this, because it's actually a very quick, simple, no-brainer stitch, to be honest, but it's it's different than your usual stitching. So you're just going to come around, finish all of that, and then when we get to the end of this round, so if you want to pause this video, we'll get to the end of this round and then we will move on to the next. And I'll just get you started in this routine, this little pattern that we're doing here. And then I'm going to let you grow this on your own, because from here, that's all you're doing is you're growing it out. And I just want to show you something real quick. We actually are at the end of this round, so we're going to just do these last couple. And then I will explain something to you really fast. Okay, so you see where our glove is going right now, and it's looking a little boxy, but that's okay. This is going to be perfect for when we start our icing rounds. So here's what's going on. We started out with half double crochets so that we could quickly grow this to the size we needed it to be. And once we have that in place, which is where we finished our last increase round, once we have that in place, we were doing our last increase round actually was with the back loop only. And you see it created this spiral on the top starting right here. And this is where our first row of frosting is going to go in. As a matter of fact, it comes right down here, goes around, and then it comes right down here. You can work your frosting right to the end of this. And then we'll work our own little separate frosting in here for the cherry. So that is the purpose for this, is it's kind of spacing it out for the frosting, but it's also growing it quickly so that we can, you know, stick with a smaller number of stitches, and then we can get into this little fancy schmancy design down here to kind of cutesy up the glove or the mitt. So there is a purpose and a reason for this, and it just makes it easier for us to do our filling on top, and then that little icing right there. And then you're going to grow it. Now, just to quickly go over with you, if you are wanting to make different sizes with this, if you're wanting to make another size up, what you'll want to do is you'll want to do another row of increases. So the pattern with increases is we did our first increase round, which was two half double crochets in each stitch around, and we did that for a full round. And then our next round we did we did every other stitch as an increase. So we increased in our first, we did 1 half double crochet in the next, 2 half double crochets in the next, 1 half double in the next, and we did every other stitch as an increase. So for your next increase, if you're wanting to make this for a toddler, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to start your next round with an increase, and then you're going to work 1 half double crochet in each of the next 2 stitches. And then you'll follow that with another increase, and you'll do 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and then another increase. So for every 2 half double crochets, we're going to be doing an increase for the next, and that's for the next size up. So that's kind of how you can make this grow to fit other sizes. So this one we're doing for newborn, but if you're wanting to go up in size, this would be really cute. And just so that you know, this is pretty lightweight. So it's not like, you know, you put this on a baby's hand and it's going to be all discombobulated. It's not. It's pretty lightweight if you use a lighter weight yarn. If you use cotton, it's probably going to be a little heavier, but so that's what you're going to do if you want to increase your sizing on that. So if you haven't already, go ahead and complete your your back loop slip behind row, and we're going to move on to our next. Okay, so we've completed round 6 and we're moving to round 7, and like I said, from here on out it's pretty simple, because we're just going to be repeating rounds 4 and 5 until we get to round 15. That will be our last round, and we're going to be ending this with 1 single crochet in the back loop only. But this is round 7. We are also doing for round 7, we are going to be doing 1 single crochet each back loop only. So we're going to go straight into it, no chaining, no joining, straight into making our 1 single in each back loop only around. So just work this one, and then we'll just meet back up here at the end of this round and just guide you into the next, and from there I'm going to let you grow this for those rounds. But I just want to make sure that you're on track with it all, you know where we're going next. Make sure you're not losing any stitches along the way, that you're staying you're starting with that correct beginning stitch. And just like I said, get around row or round 7, and I'll meet you right back here at round 8. Okay, so you probably have the hang of what we're doing here now. Probably have this all figured out. I'm just moving on to round 8 quickly with you, and we're just going to do a real quick run through of what we're doing here. We just finished our 1 single crochet in each back loop only. And now we are moving on, like I said, to round 8, which is working again the back loop slip behind, as I've called it. And it's entirely possible that maybe there's another stitch out there, and this is actually already a stitch and I just don't know it. But this first loop is going to be the pain one to get through. Well, it is anyway for me, because I'm looking at this on a camera. It's a little tighter because we're not, oops, because we are not joining and chaining and all that fun stuff. So we're coming behind on that. Make sure I have the right loop for it. And we're going to just do our slip stitch behind. And then every stitch after that's going to be really easy for you. So we're just going to go through this row. This is round 8, working our back loop slip behind stitch, going in that back loop and pulling through into a slip stitch. So we're not going to be doing anything real complicated from here. So I lied, it's actually only one kind of creative stitch. But it really does give a nice tight look at the end of this, but it's still a soft glove and flexible and just very cute. I love the pattern that it makes with it. Kind of, like I said, it kind of makes it look a little more knitted in the end. So you're going to finish up here like this with round 8. And round 9, we're going to do, again, we're going to do single crochet, 1 single crochet in each stitch, back loop only. And then after that round, you're going to do this again for another round. You're going to do this until you reach, again, like I mentioned, you're going to work round 15, which will be 1 single crochet, back loop only. That will be your last row on these alternating rows. So you're just going to work your next one straight into there. You're going to work your back loop only. I'm going to move my stitch marker up, of course, and you're going to work your single crochets for this round. And like I said, just alternate between those 2 rounds until you reach round 15. You'll end the 1 single crochet back loop only row, and I will meet you back here at the end of round 15. Okay, so I have completed round 15, just completed round 15 of my glove, my mitten, and this is what I have. That's pretty cute, huh? And it's just, like I said, it's very flexible, and I love how this pattern works up. To me, crochet, knitting, all of those things, obviously, It's an art, and if you can't have fun with it, I know some of you are probably saying, why? Why did she do this? But sometimes you just have to switch it up, even if it's painful. But once you got the hang of that back loop slip behind stitch that I showed you, hopefully you're racing right through it, because that is really a pretty simple stitch. So we ended our last round, 15, was the 1 single crochet in each back loop only. That was our last round. So what we're going to be working into now is our cluster stitch. And this is really simple too, but what we're going to do now is join, if you want, which I'm going to, is join with your frosting, your white yarn. And I'm going to cut off a little tail here for my blue my purple to work in. And I'm going to be joining that yarn. A lot of you guys are talking about doing the Russian join, and my hat is off to you. I tell you what, I have done it a couple of times and it's frustrating to me. And maybe I'll just get it down pat like I did eventually with Magic Circle, which was kind of painful too. But it's not fun for me right now. So I'm holding back and I'm joining. If you know how to do the Russian join, just go ahead and whip that together. So I'm just pulling my white through that blue, that last loop that was on my hook. And I'm going to take the tail of my purple, if I can get my color straight, looks blue to me through this screen, light grape. I'm going to take my tail of my light grape and I'm going to pull on it to secure that, but also I can give myself a little more of a tail on this white. I'm going to chain 1 on my white. So I'm going to pull both of those to lock it in place. So that's how I'm joining my yarn. However you want to join yours is perfect. So now we are working into both loops, okay? And with our cluster, how this has worked, and I will work over those 2 tails just for my first cluster. So you want to find your first stitch here, which is right here, and I'm not even going to bother putting the stitch marker in because I'm going to know right where it is, because it's in a different color now. So I'm going to yarn over, or I'm sorry, nope, I'm not going to yarn over. I'm going to make sure I'm on track and then you don't have anything else. Yep, that's right. Okay, so this cluster is a little bit different. I am not going to yarn over. My apologies. I'm going to go straight into this first stitch. Remember, we're going into both loops of that stitch. And I'm working over these 2 tails. I'm working over them. We're going to yarn over and pull through. So now I have 2 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to go directly into my next stitch, yarn over and pull through. Now I have 3 loops on my hook. So now I'm going to yarn over. I'm going back into that next stitch again, yarning over and pulling through, and then I'm going to pull through and wriggle my way through all of the loops on that hook. And now I'm dropping my tails. Or you can continue to work them in, that's fine. But I'm just going to hide them in. I'm just going to get them out of my way because it's not helpful in the video. So, after we've made our cluster, we're going to chain 1. Okay. We're going to go into our next stitch here. We're just going to go directly in. and we're going to yarn over and pull through. Then we're going to go into our next stitch, yarn over and pull through, 3 loops on the hook. Then we're going to yarn over, go into that stitch again, yarn over, pull through, yarn over and pull through all of those. And I don't normally have problems with clusters, but for some reason my video skills tonight are not great. So I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to chain 1 after every cluster I make, and that's going to set a little stitch right on top of that cluster, as you see. We're not going to use it, but it's going to put one there. So I'm going to do 1 more, and then I'm going to have you just work this around to the end. Pull through. Through. Yarn over. Go back into that 1 stitch. Pull through. And just pull through all of those. And chain 1. So continue doing this. You're going to work your clusters, our little rose petal or rose bud icing base around our glove, our mitten. And I will meet you at the end of this cluster round. Continue on till you get to the end here. Okay, so we're coming into the end of our round of clusters, and we've got just those 2 left. So we're going to go ahead and work our cluster, our last final cluster. All right. And then we'll chain 1, and then we're going to come over here and we're going to slip stitch into that first stitch worked. Okay, so now we have our round of clusters, and you're just going to hide those tails in. You can, like I said, you can do that along the way, or you can even you can tie them in a knot and then just hide them in with your blunt needle. So from here, what we're going to do, we're going to add 1 more round here. We're going to chain 1. Then we're going to skip this stitch right here and right into the next one. We're going to skip the one that's directly above that cluster there. And into this next one, we're just going to work a single crochet. And then we're going to chain 1. And then we're going to skip that next one right there, and right into this stitch right here, we're going to work another single crochet. And chain 1. This one's a real simple, quick round. Gonna add just a teensy bit of height with this last round, and just kind of tie in the clusters so that they are not the last stitches we work on this. So it's a more secure all around project. So we're just working into that stitch with single crochet and then a chain 1. And then we're working into the next stitch, and we're just doing that around till we get to our end. So complete this round. I will meet you at the end of this, and we will move on to our frosting. Okay, so I just want to jump back in here real quick before and show you we just reached the end of this round. And so what we're going to do is we're going to actually, and this was our last one, so we want to join into our first stitch work just to make it a little more secure. I'm going to reach over just right over here, and oh, that's right there. Hang on. No, we're going to reach over here. We're just going to work a slip stitch right in to that space there. Okay, and then I'm going to chain 1 so that I have locked that in place. So when I chain 1, if I pull on this, you can see it obviously right now, but when I go in to hide my tails, I can pull this down to where you're not going to see my chain 1. You're not going to see it in there at all. It's going to be like every other stitch around. So hiding your tails is really important in how you do it at the end of your project. Okay, now we can move on. I just want to show you quickly, and I'm not going to put it all together here. So we have this top frosting cap right here, and I have this written in the pattern for how you can make this. And basically what this is consists of, and I'll just work one up real quick, but I'm not going to be sewing it onto this project. And do this, the cherry, the frosting, and then we'll be set. And it's just putting it all together, you know, the top two. So for the cherry and that top frosting, I would even suggest, and I know it's a little late to be telling you this now, but now just thinking about it, I mean, you can obviously turn your project inside out, but, you know, for future gloves that you make, I would stop right about here. Go ahead and make that cherry and that frosting on the top. And even if you want to work your frosting around so that you can go ahead and easily hide your tails in at the end, or before you end your project and you're all the way down here. But like I said, you can flip it all inside out. It just might be better at that time. So now I'm going to go on to that middle frosting section. I'll call this the cherry fluff section. I sure hope I have enough yarn here because I'm running out of my baby steps. I may have to actually grab a different type of yarn for my white because I was running out. But what you're going to do is, I don't even bother with the magic circle for this one because it's such a small round. I'm just going to make my slip knot in, I'm going to drop down, actually I'm in a G hook right now. So I'm actually dropping down to a D hook, if I can find it. A D or an E hook would be good for this round. So I'll do the E hook. And so I'm going to just make my slip knot, and then I'm going to chain 1 and 2. Okay, so I'm going to work 6 single crochet into this first chain right here. So this is going to be kind of like my magic circle. So 1, 2, and it's going to be a little tight space here. 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm just going to get you started on this because this is so simple. This is almost like just, you know, what we did to start out our glove. I'm not going to finish this whole thing because it's only, actually, this is it. And so I'll just show you to the end of this round, and then I'm going to move on, I think, to the cherry section. But what you're going to want to do, and this is going to be a really tight space, but you're going to go straight in, no joining. You're going to go straight into that first stitch, and you're going to work into every stitch around. You're going to work 5 double crochets. So every stitch, and I'm not sure what happened with that stitch. Every single stitch we're going to work 5 double crochets. So if you are a beginner, double crochet, you yarn over, you go into your stitch, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to yarn over, pull through 2 of those loops, and then yarn over and pull through 2 more. So you end up with 1, loop on your hook. So we are going to do that. I'll do that one more time. Yarn over, go into your stitch, yarn over and pull through, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So now we have 3 stitches made into that one, and we're going to work 4 and 5. Okay, and then we're just going right into that next stitch. So was that the next stitch? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. Okay, so we're going right into this next stitch, and we're going to make 5 more double crochets. So the point is that we're really going to stack these double crochets in here to start making this real wavy, so that it looks like frosting. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so we've got 6 total stitches around. So you're going to have to make sure you search for your stitches if you're losing or missing one, because you want to work 5 into each of these. Give it the appearance of a fluff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, I may not have enough yarn here. Okay, so we will attempt the rest of this. I've got 3 more, so 15 more stitches to work. But as you see, it's already starting to wave. It's getting real wavy there. And like you saw that right there, that stitch wanted to hide, and I could have accidentally skipped right over it not noticing, but you want to notice it because this is what's going to give you that shaping for that frosting on top. Don't miss any of them. Okay, and I have one more. And it's going to be really out of shape. 3, 4. And I'm not going to keep this frosting because I want to use this white for... I'm going to show you how to put it all together, but you see how wavy it is, and this is your fluff. So when you finish with this, go ahead and go into... I would go into this one here so it's a little more even, and just do a slip stitch right in there to close that up. And then chain up and cut your tail and lock that in, and just set this aside so we can start on our cherry. See how that's so great, this little wave here? So go ahead and finish up with this if you haven't, and then we'll meet back here for the cherry. Okay, so we finished our white cherry fluff for the top. And next, we're going to make our cherry. Excuse me. So grab your red yarn, whatever that may be. And we're going to do the same thing we did with the white. We're just going to chain the 2 and work our stitches in. So go ahead, and I am actually, for the cherry on this, I am working a... Pardon me. Let's see. I'm using an F hook for this. Okay, so I'm going to use a little slightly bigger hook. You can use a smaller hook. It'll give you a smaller cherry, but I'm using the F hook because I'm using this red heart right now, and it's just a little easier for me. So we're going to chain 2. And I don't know if this red is going to focus in very well here, guys. I'm so sorry. I have a hard time with the red for some reason. So we've got our 2 chains, and we're going to work into this chain. We're going to work 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, oops, and 6. You can work over that tail as you go. Okay, so we've got our 6. And going into our first stitch, let me make sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we are going to increase in every stitch around here. So you're going to work 2 single crochets into each stitch around. Just keep track. We've got 2, 4, 6, 8, tight spot, 10, and 12. Your cherry is going to move so fast. This is a pretty quick part. So it's going to start curling this way as you're going. This is your right side. So we're going to go ahead and flip it out. And just to quickly show you, we haven't hid any tails here, guys. So, you know, if you're familiar with that, or if you're not familiar with that, should I say, I'm just going to do one quick thing for you real quick to quickly get you familiarized with it. And of course, all I have out here are huge, there we go. I need a smaller, I like to use the smaller blunt needles. So for those of you who are not familiar with hiding your tail, and I apologize if you are a seasoned crocheter and just wanting to whip this thing up already, get your tail, your beginning tail in that hook, and do this now because you're not going to have a whole lot of time to do this after you get to a certain point. So, and you're going to look at the direction that this is going in. It was going this way. So we're going to go towards the middle, and we're just going to hide, weave in and out of the inner stitches on this, and do it just a couple of times. You don't need to get crazy. And I mean, it's just the cherry, and it will lock in. It'll be fine. So just weave into a couple of stitches. There you go. And pull it tight so that you don't have that hole anymore. You can't see through the hole anyway. Okay, so good enough. I'm going to cut that tail down so it's out of my way completely. All right, and then I'm going to flip this back out like I was saying to the right side. That other side was the wrong side. So I'm going to put my hook back in and get back on track here. So we have doubled up, and we now have 12 stitches. We're going to do one round of 1 single crochet in each of the 12 stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even bother with a stitch marker for this. This is 6, 7, because even if I lose track of my stitch counts here, it's going to turn out a circle when I'm done. 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so I have 12 stitches. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going into a decrease round. So I've gotten to my halfway point on my cherry. So now I'm going to make the other round side of my cherry. I'm going to decrease by going in to between 2 stitches. I'm decreasing between 2 stitches. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going into this first stitch, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through. And then I'm going to go directly into the other stitch, kind of like we did with our clusters, yarn over and pull through. And then I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those stitches. So I've just made those 2 stitches into 1 stitch. And I'm going to do that 6 times. So that was 1. and it's going to get really tight. That's 2, but don't worry, we're almost done with the cherry. That's 3. You can bend this cherry, you can do all that you need to get it done. That's 4, because you can put it back in shape right after. And there's 5. And there is 6. I always go 1 more, and you don't have to. I always do, just because it makes it even smaller for me to have to close up. Okay, see that cherry, how twisted and out of shape it is? I'm going to chain 1 because I just finished my decrease rounds, and I'm going to go ahead and cut myself a tail. I would say about 6-inch tail, and pull that tight. And then you can just take your hook and push things back into shape. Just kind of circle it around in there, and you got your round cherry back. Okay, so if you want to get that closed off, and you can stuff the cherry if you want. I do not stuff my cherries. So to close this off completely, you're just going to come in and out, weave in and out of the outer stitches here. Okay, the outside of these stitches. So weave in and out, and you close it up very quickly this way. And you don't need it to be completely closed because you're just going to use this side as your bottom side of your cherry. What you're going to do at this point, here's your white fluff for the middle, and this is the top of the glove. So you're going to just go ahead, and when you're finished, securing your red to the bottom and closing off that bottom, you're just going to pull your tail right through this white fluff. Okay, so you're going to take your tails from your white fluff, take your tail from your cherry, go ahead and tie those 2 together, and then you're going to sew it, which you can just pull these tails down into the middle top part of your glove. So just for an example, really quick. You just take your needle, and I'll take the big one. I got just a little bit of time before it dies on me. Sorry. I'm going to take the needle with the big eye, and I'm going to get all of my tails in there, right? Like that. Pretend this loop is not here because I did not finish this thing off here. But I'm going to take this, and I'm going to just go straight down the center top portion of my glove. And pull that through all the tails. And then I can work it in underneath. I can tie it in a knot, tie the tails together in a knot underneath, and then work those tails into the end place. So just work your cherry and your topping in there. This is a very simple part. And you've got a nice flat surface to do this, okay? But I would sew this portion on last. Work your frosting first. So now we're going to work our frosting. If you will bear with me a moment, because I am down to the nothing on my white yarn. I do have other white yarn, but I need to get some more of this kind of yarn. Or you can use, if you don't have this Baby First Step yarn, you can use a Caron. And I actually might have some Caron. You want a D hook for this. You want a small hook. And let's see, right there. You want a small hook because you're going to be working in a pretty tight space here. So what you want to do is you want to locate, I'm going to grab my other glove here again. Mitt. You want to locate your starting back loops worked. So you had, this was a back loop row. So this is your starting place. These are the front loops. And these are what we're going to make our frosting on. So what you want to do, and this is really easy, but it might be a little, just a little awkward going into at first, but you just want to go right into this front loop only. We worked into the back loop of this, and you're going to join that white yarn in there. So just loop it around your hook and pull it through that loop. And you want to work over your tail. You don't need a big tail, but you do want to make sure it's secure. So work it in a little bit and then go ahead and with your needle, go ahead and push it through to the other side and work it underneath, hide it in. So what we're going to do is we are going to first chain 1 to make sure that it's secure on that loop. And then we're going to work 2 more. I'm going to consider that chain 1 as a single crochet. We're going to work 1, and working over that tail, we're going to work 2 more single crochets into that 1 loop. Okay, so what we're doing is we're going to work 3 for every other loop here. We're going to work 3 single crochets into each one. And what this is going to do is it's going to create that wave, the kind of fluffy frosting look throughout that. And you can continue to work your tail. I'm going to drop it now for the sake of the video, but you're just going to each of these front loops and you're just working 3 single crochets. 1. And it's going to look like it's pulling it out of shape. It's fine. It's going to tighten up when you're done in that space. So we got 3 there. Now, if you find that it's getting really inconvenient and way too tight to continue working 3 in every one, switch it up a little bit. Work 2 in 1, or work 2 of them with 3 and then skip 1. But do your best to just kind of get that look of, you know, just a fluffy frosting around. And as you move on to the next stitch, it's going to pull that other one down a little bit. So what we're doing is we're going to work these all around. You're going to continue this around. And you're going to continue this down here. And there is an ending point, believe it or not. Somewhere. Anyhow, you're going to work it down just through this last round here. Okay? And that way you're going to have just a couple of rows is all you want for the frosting. And you can, I mean, you can get as creative as you want with this, and you can go on and on and on with frosting, but that's completely up to you. But 2 rounds is all you really need, because then you're going to stick that white fluff, the cherry fluff on top, and you're set. Okay, moving on to our chain. Okay, so again, with the D hook, I'm going with a smaller chain, or a smaller hook for my chain, just because I'm looking for just a kind of real dainty, I don't, almost like just a rope-like tie for this. So all I'm going to do is create my slip knot. What do I feel like I've got to... Oh, that's it. Okay. So now I'm going to chain. It's going to be approximately 70 to 80 chains. So you're going to have to kind of just measure it up to your glove. And I'm not going to do all of those. I'm going to do maybe 20. And this is one of the reasons I'm using this smaller one, is because it makes it so much closer. It makes the chain so much closer. And you can really loosen this up if you want to block this. Go a little more, because I just want to show you how you're going to get it all attached in there. Just trying to give you the idea of what we're doing here. I think, you know, probably can figure this out okay. If you have any questions, if I didn't cover something clearly enough on this video, then please leave your comments below and I will get back with you and let you know what's going on. And if there's something, I'm going to do a few more. This is such an easy part. And you can go up a chain or a hook size too. It's just totally up to you what you're looking for. They do have also, I don't know if, you know, how many of you know about the French knitting looms. It's got, I want to say it's 3 or 4 pegs on it. And it's mainly meant to make these like rope type deals. And they come out really nice, but that's also an option. But once you have the chain, what you're going to do is take your hook, or your hook, I need to go to bed. What you're going to do is take your blunt needle. I'm taking one with a big eye, and I get that in there. And that's why I'm using one with a big eye, so that I can fit this in comfortably. So then I'm going to take my mitten and I'm going to determine my first 2 spaces. I'm going to consider this where my tail is, the back of my mitten. And I'll start right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down into the space between, and make sure you're in the space in between, that you're not going through a stitch, because you're not going to be able to pull this rope through if you're going through a stitch. So make sure you're going in between and coming up into the space, and that way you can easily pull this through. Don't want to pull it all the way through. And you're just going to continue that around, making sure that you're going through the spaces, in and out, all around. And like I said, this was about, for me, it was around 80 chains for that last one, so that I could comfortably make a bow with it. So what's going on? Oh, that's my tail. Okay. So basically this is all you're doing, is just tying this in. And those tails are already going to be tied in. So these are just the loose pieces of my work, so I can show you the video and show you how we're doing this. See how I almost came up into that stitch? You don't want to do that. And you just go around and around and around until you've made it all the way through to the other side, or close to it. Okay, so at this point, somehow I ended up with 2. And I am not sure how. Let me see how that's gonna look kind of odd. So what you could do is just go, you know, into let me see if I can find my needle again. I'm wondering, because I felt like I missed a cluster in the beginning, and that is probably exactly what I did, because I did not have this problem on any of my other gloves. So I guarantee you that's what I did. Because as you can see All my other gloves came up in the right place. I have a feeling I missed a cluster here, guys, but both of your strands should be coming up after that. So I'm going to see if I can kind of scooch through this. That's kind of irritating to me. So without making it look so obvious, which it's going to look so obvious, but at least I'll be able to tie it right. Okay, I just made a new cluster. So I missed a cluster, obviously, but you get the idea. Yours will turn out perfect. And yes, I did pull the icing out, and I'm gonna replace it when I get some more of my stuff. Or I do have Karen, so I'll go ahead and make it up. And that, my friends, is a patty cake. And I am so happy with how these turned out. I thought they were, I think they're very cute, and they're just, you know, baby adorable. Everything is about adorable with a baby. But thank you so, so, so much for joining me today, and for working this up. And I know that it was kind of choppy here and there, and I do appreciate your patience with me. But I hope you'll come and join us over at our YarnWars group on Facebook at www.facebook.com/group/YarnWars. Hopefully it pops up on the screen there. But you'll be joining up with a bunch of great people, very talented people from around the world who just have the same love of the yarn craft that you do in knitting, crocheting, looming. But we also have mini challenges, contests that will be coming more soon in the near future. We have free patterns there, lots of support. Great place for you to come and share your work with the community. Also, visit us at YarnWars.com, where you can subscribe at the website, and you can be the first to know when new things are coming out. And that again is YarnWars.com. And if you've enjoyed this video, if you like this video, I have so many more things coming in the near future. I hope you'll subscribe to this channel. I do also sometimes occasionally run a contest through my channel here, so please subscribe, and thank you. Thank you so much again, guys, for joining me. It was fun, and you have a blessed day. Thank you. Bye-bye.